Hey everyone, this is Mr. Everything, and today I wanted to unbox and review these Anker Soundcore earbuds. By the possible chance, you may have seen this video of mine on YouTube where I reviewed the Tozo T10s last year. One of the best performing videos I've done. Not the amount of views I've gotten before, but with how YouTube is now, these still did really well and helped a lot of people. And I said these were about the best headphones you could get, all things considered, at the price point. And there were a few drawbacks, and Anker offered to send these to me, and I might talk a little bit about Anker. I have definitely thought they were more of a go-to company and an upcoming company, and I've tried these and I'm really impressed with them. They're definitely more of a premium brand and price compared to the Tozos, but I think they really perfected what the Tozos did and what they couldn't do and made it all exactly what I was looking for. So it's a nice box. I know that's kind of not that important in the end, but see everything you have here. You know, there's a lot more going on than with these. You got these and that was pretty much it. You did get a warranty with them too, but this, you know, it gives you all this extra stuff you can do, more accessories, and that's what you pay for. Reminds me a lot of the packaging of the Jaybird Freedoms, which I used to use these. I don't like this. I would never buy this kind anymore with the wire, but same type of quality packaging. And yes, I have been using these, but I just wanted to show you what the experience is like. Maybe help justify the price. And these may flash because I think they're on and they're connected. So we'll get to that in a minute. Beneath this, and this might be a little hard to see, you get a nice USB-C cable. This charging case charges with USB-C. It's also wireless charging, which is huge to me. And I like when they include these. You don't have to use any other ones or any other way. You could just use what they give you. Another nice thing is you get these 3 different sizes of wings, small, mediums by default on them, and then the large, and then you get a bunch of different ones here. Now these are a little more pliable. The red ones seem to seal a little better. They're a little more harsh in the ear. That's definitely going to be preference because we all have different sized ears. And even just to be picky, like even just the backing that these are on is nice and sturdy to where this isn't going to fall apart. So anytime you can even put this somewhere in a bag and it wouldn't even get all torn up. It's decently made. So again, I've heard of Anker for years. I'll just go ahead and say it, you know, watching What Would Josh Do back in his prime, you know, in the early 2010s and everything. He got a lot of Anker products. I kind of didn't know anything about them. And I was like, it seemed like the quality was pretty good for the price. And then a few years ago, I started seeing them in Walmart, so they must be, you know, getting bigger. But I always thought, just for, you know, whatever other people said, and a lot of their products were always highly reviewed and much lower price than the competition. Now there's not much to go by in this. You kind of have to figure it out on your own. There is a user's guide in the app. Tells you kind of how you want to insert them with every language known to man, but you can hopefully just go by the pictures. So yeah, I was definitely interested in checking these out, and I'm really glad I did. I would say they're about the best option out there, and this really isn't anything to go with. Doesn't tell you anything. Okay, so this is the case, and the first thing I was thinking when I was looking at these online, I was thinking, well, this is probably not as sleek as this. It slides instead of the more AirPod style. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I actually like this style better now. I don't know, just once you get it in hand, I think it's the better way to go. And from here on out, I mean, it's really just self-explanatory. This one looks a little bit better, you know. They have the stamping for this one. Not that, I mean, who would care? But this one's hidden under here. I don't know if I can get that on camera. If it really matters, which it really doesn't. And then, as pretty much all the earbuds are, they're magnetic. And for some people, maybe most people, you can charge again with USB-C. And if you have a wireless charger, then it's, especially for something like this that's such a small battery set, it's so easy to just put it down. When you listen to music, practically by the time your song's done, you got enough charge to charge them. After your album's done, this thing's fully charged from nothing. I think this is probably to make it somewhat waterproof, but the more you open and close this is obviously probably going to break off. So I prefer to do wireless charging, and that's a big thing with a lot of other brands that have wanted, you know, me to review their headphones. The fact that these $50 pair had wireless charging and all this, and these more expensive, about 3 times the price, I would certainly want them to have wireless charging, and they do. I love it. You just put that case on your charger, you know, half hour, maybe an hour at the most, it's completely charged from dead. And that what's even more amazing is just how good the battery life of the buds themselves are. So obviously the first thing, when you open them up, they come on. That's one thing that's different. So now they're paired to each other, and then they'll pair to your device. With the Tozos, nothing happened when you did this. They didn't come on until you opened them, and it kind of made it hard, where you had to take the main bud out first, then this one, so they would connect correctly. It's kind of nice that this is all, there must be a switch or a sensor. They're on, now they're off. And then to check your battery life, you have this button here. It's kind of hard to press because it's flush. 3 lights. The percentages are in the manual again, obviously, when you're down to 1. And then when it starts to blink, you know you're at the end of your charge. So it's as simple as that. Now, if I can talk about the quality, let me just say I'm not an audiophile. I'm going to pronounce it like that just so the algorithm doesn't think I'm saying the other word you're not allowed to say on YouTube. But to me, they're the best pair of earbuds I've ever owned. I'm not super picky. I don't want like $12 Walmart crap that's going to sound muddy. But again, the Tozos, they sounded great to me. They didn't have the best seal or the best fitment, but I was satisfied. If you are an audiophile, again, I think these are going to suit you better than the cheaper ones, but I really think this is just about the sweet spot. It's definitely pro of all the things you get, and it's not insane. You know, some headphones or earbuds can go $200-300, maybe even more. This is right at the sweet spot. And on Amazon, again, a lot of times there's coupons and savings, so it's really good. Now, as far as the design goes, one thing I really liked about the Tozos is they're, you know, compact. There's no wings sticking off of them. They're not contoured. I figured, well, that's better. It's not going to be like big, like golf ball hanging out of my ear or something. I was like, these are bigger. These probably aren't going to be as comfortable. I probably prefer these. When you put them in, you hardly notice. As far as weight goes, they're probably twice the weight, but it's not enough that you notice. The way they're contoured, and you can see, they actually fit in the ear better. You don't notice these are in the ear, and they don't move around near as much as these did. A lot of people complained with these ones that they would fall out. I tried the memory foam ear tips, but they're just not that good, and they really wouldn't stay on this because they weren't made for it. They were just generic ones. Everything about these is much better. You can see you have your pins here. I believe that's your microphone. Maybe it's also for noise canceling, I don't know. But you have it on both. One thing about the mic, I hardly make a phone call period on my phone, so I can't tell you what the quality is. If it's anything like what the audio quality is, I'm sure it's decent. As far as connection, things I couldn't tell you. Again, some people get upset about that, but quite frankly, if your microphone matters that much to you, you should be having just like a Bluetooth separate mic or a lightning cable mic if you're that, or a headset if you're that overly concerned with audio or microphone. I don't use them for that. I hardly ever use my cell phone to talk, and if I do, I'm certainly not going to go through the hassle of putting these in when I can just talk into the phone. But that's just me. And you have this multifunction button on both. On this, you just clicked. This whole thing is kind of a click button. This is also click, not touch. It's out of the way. It's a little hard to get when it's in your ear. Sometimes you can't find it, but it's tactile and it does a lot of features, and that's really what sets these apart. Now, in my situation, I think my left ear is a little bit smaller. Both my ears are on the smaller side. I did go with the largest ear tips, and sometimes they're not as comfortable. They get a little sore. You can just twist them around. As the diagram says, you kind of put them in your ear like this and then turn them, and it kind of locks them in. I find that the best seal, which is much better than the seal on those ones, is with these. I have a bunch of these, different shapes and materials. I just kind of stuck with these for now. And one thing I want to show is the wings do come off. It's easier to take that off first. And that's what locks them on, and then the rest just kind of wraps around. Some people have said that these could tear, and if you're reckless with things, I'm sure they could, and if you're changing them a ridiculous amount of times. But aside from when you first get it, I would say you want to try. If you have huge ears, you're not going to use the smalls. You might want to try the medium or the large. But once you try them a few times, I don't see why you'd have to keep taking them off. And I guess you probably could use these without the wing on, but I don't know if that could damage or scratch your ear. No, I just put it in my ear, and I didn't feel that. I don't think it's near, so you could use these without if you wanted. Then to put these back on, you can see there's that cutout, and that matches up with this. You kind of just slide it over, pull that, kind of feel when it's in place. There, and there you go. Then when you're done listening, they start to charge. Now, one thing that's amazing about these is they last, according to the spec sheet, 8 hours on the charge of the internal battery in the earbud itself. 8 hours is what they're saying. Now, it can depend on volume, and as they get older, a battery's not going to perform as well. But that's insane. These were said to do 3 hours. Definitely, there were times I got close, definitely 2.5 hours, maybe 3. And over almost a year, I've had these probably under 10 times if I ran them that low to where I had to charge them if I wanted to keep listening. With these, I mean, I can't see myself having these in for 8 hours. I mean, even if they would get low, these are small battery sizes, obviously, we're working with here. By the time, I mean, you're going to go to the bathroom, or you're going to go eat, you're going to go do something for at least 5-10 minutes. Just put them back in the case, and that, just that 10-minute charge probably gets you another hour. So I can't ever see these unless the battery degrades over many years. I can't see these being ever an issue. I think this they're saying 32-hour playtime. That may be 8 hours in the fully charged buds plus another 24. So 3 recharges in this fully charged. That's insane. That's really good. This doesn't hold as much. This could maybe do 40, 50, 60 hours. That would be more if it had a big capacity, but the capacity, or maybe more so the efficiency of these earbuds, is amazing. Again, for about the same size. I believe this case was 500 milliamp hour battery, and I think the buds were they were 10 more milliamps. They might have been 65. and these might have been 55. I could be wrong. It could be 65, 75, 75, something like that. But these hold a little bit more, like 10 milliamps, but they last over twice as long, as it tells you these are much more efficient. And it's really just battery life's really good. It's not even a question with these. It's just that's how good they are. Battery life isn't even a concern. Now, the last thing I want to show you will just relate to what's going on connected to a device. And there you go. They're connected. You're up and running. One thing I've noticed, and this goes for the Tozos as well, I think you can only connect to one device. I think this counts as a connection between these two, and then this to this. It would be nice, because your Apple TV, if you have one, it's always on, even if it goes to sleep. So this connects to your last used device. So if you were connected to the Apple TV, and then now you want to connect to your iPad, it's going to connect to your Apple TV again. And it would be nice if you could be connected to multiple devices. Obviously, if both were trying to play audio, that would be a problem. But if your Apple TV is asleep, it would just be nice if it could do it. But I don't know if any Bluetooth devices can do that. Now, AirPods are more appropriate in terms of choosing what the device they're connected to, but you want to pay more, and you have to be in the Apple ecosystem to do that. And one other thing I want to talk about is the Soundcore app. I'm not a big fan of putting apps on my phones for stuff like this, but this is actually worth it. You can check battery life. It's the only way, aside from the little icon you get. Mine doesn't have the battery icon, probably because they're charging in the case. But this doesn't give you a percentage, but it gives you an idea. And again, if the 8-hour battery life, it's just something you don't have to really even think about. So you can update your firmware. I would recommend going to the quick start manual here. I should actually say the user manual. This is where you get all the specs at. This is where you get, so there's the milliamp hours I was talking about. Unfortunately, they should have really just included this with the packaging, but they don't. So if you're an audiophile, you have maybe some things you want to know. I'm sure that's on the Amazon spec page too. But this is where you can find this, or on their website. You can also do EQ, which I think the Jaybirds did that too. Now, I just put this on my iPad. I use it on my iPhone, but I'm recording with that, so I just installed it on here. They do have firmware, so I'm thinking my EQ is probably saved to this, but on the iPad, that's not what my custom EQ is on my phone. So I'm not sure if that only works when you're connected to that device. You would think the EQ would just be programmed into it, but I don't know. I don't really notice a difference because I keep my EQ kind of more toward flat response with a little bit of bass anyway. So it's not too out of the... And then you can do the personalize. I did that on my iPhone, and I think I passed all the tests. I'm 25, so I don't think I have any hearing problems. I can't understand people for the life of me, but as far as hearing these sounds, I could pass all those tests. So you check your battery life, do your EQ, you can run that hearing test if you want, and you get to the user manual. There's really nothing else you need to do in this app. It's not an app that you need to be in all the time, but for firmware and everything. Oh, and the most important thing would be the controller. And this is exactly what I wanted in earbuds. And this may be one of the most important must-buy features for me, is the multifunction on one button, which is what a lot of the inline mics on corded headphones do. But when you have two buttons, now you have two buttons. So one press on either bud is play and pause for one press. A double tap on the left takes you back. A double press on the right skips ahead. And if you hold 1 second, you can do reduce volume on the left earbud and increase on the right. And you can switch it, or you could do voice assistant, which, why? I mean, I guess if you can, but that's default. Switch that to volume. You'll prefer that, I think. And with the Tozos, all you could do is play and pause. I think any double presses just tried to redial a number. Why? And you couldn't control that because they don't have an app to change the firmware. With these, you can change that. You can change this. You could change these around. And what I like about the holding, and was one thing I was worried about, and they've thought it through, is if you hold it, it's not going to continually raise or lower the volume. It does it in one increment, whatever that amount is, but it goes up, one little bit on your phone, and then you can hold it all you want. You have to let the button off and hold it again to get the next increment and the next and the next. So it won't just blast it and send you death, which is nice. And the last thing I can just talk about, again, I'm using the extra large on here as far as fitment and comfort, because when you find a good pair of earbuds like this, you're gonna just, by default, you're just gonna use them all the time. Instead of going to other headphones, you probably put these in. If you're just watching something on TV, you might want to just use these now because you can get the better quality, go a little louder. This is the medium wing, and this is the small. I found that one to be a little more comfortable. Now these definitely start to hurt my ear after a little while. Again, you could take them off, but this would, and for most use, home use, probably could, keep them out and wouldn't be a problem. But for activity, you would definitely like to have these on, help them hold them in, because especially if these larger plugs, they really are locked in your ear. And that does sacrifice a little bit of comfort, but everyone's ear is different, so it might not be an issue for you. I do think maybe this type of wing might be a little more comfortable on the ear. I haven't used these in so long, but I don't really remember them. I think it was just a little less aggressive because this is all kind of pushing in, but I don't think that'll be a problem. And you can always, even just a little adjustment, kind of take the pressure off this one little point, and then you start to feel fine again. And I know when I review earbuds, I always go long. I like to talk about everything, what you get in the box, your options for fitment, how the case works, how the case feels, some of the specs, how it connects, what you may or may not be able to do via software, firmware on a device, my experience with them, battery life, comparison to other ones, and they really do well in every single category. As far as breaking down the specifics of audio frequencies and stuff, flat response sounded good. I don't want super bass pumped out. I want a nice, regular flat sound with a little bit of bass added in, and maybe some highs. They do that for me. If you want to get super in depth, check a forum, check reviews on Amazon. You can tell by the reviews they're a quality product. The only problem people have is there's a static noise when there's no sound being played, but it's only, maybe this was fixed in firmware, because for me it's only when I go to type. And when you have these in, you hit the address bar or the comment bar or whatever. When the keyboard comes up, that plays audio when you type, and it must activate the earbud or tell it something, and you will hear static for that. When you quit or you close the keyboard, it goes away. Sometimes there are other situations, at least with iOS. I don't know if Android, I don't have any Android devices currently, but that sound, even when it plays, that little low static goes away. If you close the keyboard, it goes away. But even if you just leave it open on the keyboard, it'll still go away after a few seconds. It hasn't bothered me at all. I have noticed it, but it just doesn't matter to me. That is about the main complaint that I see with these, and again, for me, it just didn't matter. For me, the Anker Soundcore Liberty 2 Pro earbuds are exactly what I want. I can't see myself looking for any more. I think these are the sweet spot for me. With that being said, I still think the Tozos are the best option for under $100. You can find thousands at this point of different Chinese-made earbuds, and they're probably all more or less the same, but this has wireless charging. They're more waterproof. I don't see them bragging about water resistance anywhere on them, so it's probably just against splashes. You probably wouldn't want to wear these in the shower or swimming, though Bluetooth doesn't work underwater. You probably wouldn't want to get them in a high water area. Everything with these is supposedly waterproof, but aside from that, this has the wireless charging. There's no wire in between to connect them. It's Bluetooth 5.0. For the price, these I think are even on sale now, the Tozos, for $30, $40. If you want that lower end, they're still really good. They're still the best deal. But if you want something more premium, these go from, I don't know, $130 to $150, I think. It's more the pro range, but to me they are pro. I don't feel anything is lacking. I'm really happy with them. I think they're a great deal, and compared to the other ones in the price range, these hit everything for me, so I'm satisfied with them. Hopefully that helps you out. I know I get really in depth with these, so hopefully that answers all the questions you wanted to know. If not, give me what you can, or tell me what you want in the comments, and I'll see what I can do to help you with them. But I'm really satisfied overall with them. So thanks for watching, and to see me in the next one. Have a good one.